Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies Tuesday Night Flight. It's me, it's the big guy KG, sitting in with the one, the only, the incomparable, the undefeated, undisputed, unmatched, fat poet himself, the Midnight Rider, Ben.
What's up, man? What's going on?
What's going on, man? Ain't nothing much, man. Just a lot of news stories, a lot of things coming out, you know. I love when it all comes out on a Monday night and a Tuesday afternoon, because I mean we get to talk about it and we ain't got to wait so long. And my hair is not cooperating tonight. Hold on, because my wife sees this, she's gonna picture. You know what? All right, we good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you good now.
So, man, let's jump right into this. Derek Carr leaves Las Vegas. They released him. He goes to the Saints, and I tell you she's gonna picture. You know what? If I ain't fix it, I made sure I fix it. She's standing right here, giving me that look. And she said she saw it. Oh man, that's why
I said the same thing you said earlier. You somehow want to get a shirt. I was like, yo, I don't want to see nothing get thrown on the screen and hit you upside the head. So
yeah. I told her. She told me you need to put a shirt on. I said, yeah, I got to. I said my wife doesn't like it when I bring out the gun show on camera. So you know,
I got you, man. So David Carr to New Orleans.
Derek Carr. I hope Derek Carr, David Carr not going to New Orleans.
Well, that's worse. Yeah, Derek Carr. I'm sorry. I think we kind of got the preview of this in the beginning. I think he kind of played his hand and then kind of slow played it out just to see if he could get more money out of it. And I think he ended up right around, because I think he kind of set the floor for Daniel Jones, which I know we'll talk about later on. Old Danny Dimes getting his paycheck. But the beauty of it is there's not a whole lot of guarantees. It's a 4-year deal. So most time, 4 years. The first 2 years are the guaranteed money. The third year, there's probably an out with a penalty. And the fourth year is out with no penalty. So, I mean, it's kind of a good place for him to go. Best defense he's ever had.
Yes.
Besides that defense where I think that was Jack Del Rio when he was playing for them, the Raiders. And they were like 12-4, and they go to the playoffs, and they have to start the quarterback from Penn State. I can't think of his name, but he ended up being their starting quarterback for the playoffs because Derek Carr got hurt in the last 2 games of the season. So having that defense, being able to manipulate some of the money they're going to have to, I think this is the best opportunity. Only thing I need to see them do is get a running back, because Alvin ain't no sunshine. Kamara might be a little busy once this thing with Vegas and the fight in the elevator or wherever it was, whatever comes from that could possibly make them have to look for a running back of stature in this upcoming draft.
I also heard with Alvin Kamara, that was self-defense. I don't know how the NFL is going to handle it. I don't know how they're going to go through it, but I heard it was self-defense when it happened. That was not this Pro Bowl pass. That was Pro Bowl before. That was over a year ago.
So the funny thing is, it's like Vegas is trying to all of a sudden push this through now, whereas they had a year and they dragged their feet for a year. And then I've heard both sides of the reports. I've heard reports saying that there is evidence that it's not self-defense, and then I've seen the other side as well. So we'll see on that.
Now, do we have an exact number for Derek Carr and this New Orleans deal?
Give me a second,
because I'm looking at numbers.
Thoughts. I'll pull it.
Okay. Now, my thoughts on Derek Carr going to New Orleans. Weak conference. He just became the best quarterback in his conference for the first time in his career. There's no other quarterback in the NFC South that's better than him. I don't know what Carolina's going to do. Atlanta, Mariota is probably number 2. Tannehill is number 3, and 4 is whoever's in Carolina, because it's Carolina and they're rebuilding, but they don't have a quarterback unless they go with Minshew, and it's 4 years, $150 million. And that number, it rubs me the wrong way.
Hold on. I'm gonna help you out. David
Okay.
Tepper is not doing another year with just anybody at quarterback. So David Tepper, of course, is the owner of the Carolina Panthers. Before he got the ownership of the Panthers, he was part owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's seen this done right with Ben Roethlisberger. So he's wasted the last 4 years with some version of Cam Newton, Sam Darnold. He's had Taylor Heineke. He's had, what's the other one that's from that group?
Baker Mayfield.
He's had Baker Mayfield. So they've had, what's your boy from the XFL?
Yeah, him too. Damn, I can't think of his name. I can see his face, can't think of his name.
So they've had a cast of characters that none have been deemed a starting quarterback. Well, not starting quarterback, but a high quality starting quarterback. I'll say it that way.
Sound
because I know you hold out hope for your boy from Temple. So that's going to be number one on their agenda. And I'm telling you right now, he's probably turned over chairs. He's probably gone in the room and said, your job depends on getting me a quarterback. So I don't foresee Carolina not getting a quarterback out of this situation. There's no way he's going to allow that. And people keep their jobs. I'm telling you right now, Black Monday will be he will toss everybody out but the bathwater when it if he doesn't get a quarterback this year.
Well,
like, don't even come back from the draft. Just go ahead and fly off wherever you're gonna go. Don't come back if you can't get me a quarterback.
I get that, and I think that's the right approach. However, also in the South, I can't think. PJ Washington, right?
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker, that's his name. I know it's PJ. Him and Malik Willis are in the South, and I was just talking about Malik Willis yesterday in a conversation that how I had high hopes for Malik Willis, like I did Lamar Jackson, because the ability of things that they can do. And not to skip over Carolina, but do you think Malik Willis and PJ Walker get a chance to be starters this year?
Well, PJ, no way in hell. Like David Tepper, I'm dead serious on this. Tepper's not starting the season with anybody that's not seen as a legit number one quarterback. He will refuse. Heads will roll. He will go down and take the phone in the draft room if he doesn't get him a top-notch quarterback. He wants one of these four. He's got to get his way into the top four somehow, because you can't wait. You don't have the ability to wait when the guy that you want. You have to go get the guy that you want, and that's been emphasized by Baker Mayfield going 1 overall to Cleveland when I thought he wasn't a number one pick. But if that's the guy you're high on, you go get your guy. And the same thing that New York did with Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes he wasn't the sixth best player in that draft, but they wanted to make sure they got their guy. And this is how the NFL works at times. If that's your guy, go get him. That's my belief system. So if I overpay, I'll overpay. But I mean, you saw that in LA with the Rams when they overpaid for Stafford. They said F them draft picks because they got a title out of it. Now they wallow in some of the back end of that, but they have enough time to rebuild this roster with what they have going into next year. You make a couple trades and you rebuild it, restore it.
Okay.
And then Malik got to go find somebody to get him to throw the ball better. And I don't know if I don't know if Mike Vrabel wants to walk into this year with that as his number one guy. But the beauty of it is with Rand Carthon as the GM, the new GM, I think you're going to see a change in philosophy. And I think we started to see some of that when we had the rumors of Derrick Henry being on the trade block. And I think that's going to be a reality. I think he's getting traded because Carthon comes from the house of Shanahan, and where we don't believe in running backs, especially anybody over 27. So go ahead and get what you can for him, and then build your stable up. Get you 2 or 3 good running backs and run your offense through that. You're going to see a bunch of guys leaving Tennessee this offseason, some of the higher priced guys, so he can kind of mold this roster a little bit into his liking. So you're going to see them do some work in the trenches, I think.
Here's the problem, and people have come out and said it. They don't like how Tennessee treated Tyler Lewin. They don't like how he was treated, and to have Derek Carr Derrick Henry on the trading block. That's kind of weird. No, weird is the wrong question. Weird is the wrong statement.
That's told you
unusual. But
no, it's not unusual because
that's 90% of your offense.
Right. But if you don't believe in running backs, that means it's 10% of your offense. If you don't believe that, see, here's the difference in that belief system that I keep telling you about. Over here in the house of Shanahan, we believe you can have multiple backs and still make up for it in the aggregate over time. And you're still gonna get the same type of production. You saw that with Sam. Now they went and got McCaffrey, and that was the only difference for them. But outside of that, they stick to what they do. I mean, Mike McDaniel's got 4 running backs right now in the system, and I think that's kind of where Carthon came from. And I think just for just his purposes, I can trade a piece, get max value for it, and help build pieces on this team, get us younger, get us cheaper. Because they still, who's their one receiver? I mean, the kid Trey Burks from Arkansas, they drafted last year. That's their number one. So they need help there.
Yeah, they traded their number one, and they
traded AJ for number one.
No, AJ was your number one.
No, you're not paying. They weren't paying them.
Yeah, they weren't paying
them. You're not gonna pay him. Don't let him stick around.
Yeah, and they should have paid him. That was the thing. You should have paid him. Paid him and got him a quarterback.
But the problem is, I see what you're going with this, but still, if that's your belief system, stick with your belief system.
Okay.
You're gonna have a lot of these moments tonight, I see.
Oh, yeah. Of course. That's what we do. Derek Carr to New Orleans. He has Olave, possibly Kamara, depending on what happens with this Las Vegas incident. And Michael Thomas. If Michael Thomas decides to play. But word on the street that's been swirling around since the end of the season is he's on his way out because he's unhappy in New Orleans. I heard Denver as a landing spot. I've heard San Francisco. I've heard anywhere out west. Do you see Derek Carr to Michael Thomas being a reality in the 2023 season?
Great question. I'm gonna go with I don't. Just because the last 2 years Michael Thomas has not finished the season. And it might even be 3 years now, but I'm gonna go with 2 that I know for sure. And I think something's either wrong health-wise or something's just wrong where he just wants to get out of town. So I would let him go because, again, you're at a point of diminishing returns. So if somebody wants to give you a third and a conditional or a second and a conditional, I say let's go ahead and move on. Because, again, like I said Sunday, like we're in a draft process where these receivers are ready a lot quicker than they normally would. So go get you a kid and plug and play and see what happens. And that's kind of what I think. I think Tennessee tried to do with AJ Brown and Trey Burks, but the kid Burks from Arkansas just got hurt early on and just never got on track.
And you know,
I'm not saying that he would have been AJ Brown, but it's just one of those situations where if you get the returns, you're fine. And I think that's the problem that some people have in this isn't perfect. This is a system where you're taking a chance every time. You know, I mean, think about if you go back to what I say the model for the Commanders should be, the 49ers had Eric Armstead, and then the other tackle they got out of Oregon, both of the Buckner. And Buckner got traded to Indianapolis for their first round pick. They draft Javon Kinlaw. Unfortunately, Kinlaw's had injury concerns and injury issues the whole time, but that's the right move. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you make the right move, you don't always get the best result, but the move is the right move at the time because you're not investing upwards of 50 to 60 million into your tackle position. And that's kind of the position that the Commanders are in right now. And I've kind of pushed back on that because I kind of think that you kind of have to move on to some extent, but that's a whole different subject and a whole different topic.
Well, I think we kind of flubbed this a little bit because we added a team to the NFC South that's actually in the AFC South, and that's Tennessee.
Well, I was letting you go because I thought you were just trying to compare two young black quarterbacks.
I was, and I gotta apologize to everybody. Listen, I gotta apologize to you. I flubbed that because I was talking about Malik Willis, and I totally left out what's going on in Tampa Bay. They don't even have a quarterback as of right now.
Well, Tampa Bay has Trask. I mean, so worst case scenario.
Well, I got Trash too. I just dumped it. What are you talking about?
No. You know what I'm talking about. They got the kid Kyle Trask from the University of Florida. That's probably their main option going in. And I think Blaine Gabbert is still in town. So that's their 1, 2, 4 right now until things play out. The other situation we kind of walked over was Atlanta with Desmond Ridder. You know, Ritter's probably going to be number one. Mariota's, I think he's a free agent right now. They've already let him go. So it's
I don't get it.
Why not? He can't.
Mariota had and first of all, hold on. The boss BJ joins us tonight. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling good, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good. Man. We talking about Carter New Orleans and him being the best quarterback in the division now. And you know, I know B, I know you have strong feelings about Mariota. You take this on. Should Mariota have been re-signed in Atlanta because of what he did last season?
Nah, I don't think so.
What did he do?
I don't think so. I think that you know, we know what the business of the NFL is. I think you start Desmond Ridder. You know what Mariota can do. You know what his ceiling is. He's not going to give you anything more than what he gave you this past season, and that wasn't anything spectacular. You know, is he a serviceable backup? You know, he can be that guy if your main guy go down and you just need 2 or 3 games just to survive. If you need him longer than that, you just pack it up for next year. He's not that guy. He's just a good bridge guy. You know, he can use his leg, but definitely wouldn't sign him long term. You got to see what Ridder got. You got to see what you have there, and you got to know if you can rebuild your program, if you have the QB of the future, or if that's something you have to look for going forward.
Here's the reason why I say that. Now, y'all say he didn't do anything, but this man's sitting right in the middle. Here, right in the middle, did a whole segment of the 3-headed monster in Atlanta. That was Mariota, Patterson, London.
And as the season wore on, it became Tyson Allinger, London, because Kyle Pitts never showed up. No. Kyle Pitts had a very bad rookie season, and it was very much in part to his quarterback play. But Drake London struggled because Drake London had some bad turnovers and bad plays. But yeah, first 2 weeks of the season, that's where I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be a fast break offense and get the ball down the field. Then he showed me he couldn't throw.
He got hurt.
Once you struggle to throw, he left money on the table, and that's why they went to Desmond Ridder. 5 weeks left in the season, 6 weeks, and you were still somewhat in the hunt.
Yeah, and KG, that's part of the game. Unfortunately, health is part of the game. You can't stay upright. You can't stay healthy. Unfortunately, that goes into if you're part of a team's long-term future.
That's true.
But it's even simpler than that. It's the fact that his ceiling gave you no reason not to say, let me go see what this kid can do for me. He gave you no reason. He gave you no reason to shut Desmond Ridder out of playing football this last season. And then the way they ran the football with Cordell Patterson, and Tyson Algier, they're going to be okay no matter what. They're going to be right around 7 to 8 wins just because they're going to ground and pound you with Arthur Smith's offense. The problem, their difference maker, it really is their quarterback. Their quarterback is the difference between them being not having 9 to 10 wins and them having 7.
And you go north. You see, you know, before Brian Daboll came to the Giants, you know, we thought Daniel Jones is this what we're going to give from him? Is this it? You know, is this his ceiling? Daboll comes in, and you can see now, like, hey, he might be able to squeeze all the juice out of Daniel Jones. and you didn't like the Midnight Rider said, you don't get that feeling from Mariota. You get Mariota is what he is. That's all you're going to get from him, and he'll be a serviceable. He'll have a good future as a backup quarterback.
He'll make money.
Okay. And great segue from the boss, BJ. Speaking of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones got 4 years, $160 million, $82 million in guaranteed money. He would have got $300 million if he played the Washington Commanders every game for 17 weeks. He would have got $300 to $450 million because that dude plays lights out against us. And I don't understand why. We just beat him for the first time a couple of months ago. But Daniel Jones, 4 years, $160 million, which means Saquon Barkley gets franchise tag. They keep their team together. I'm gonna start with the boss, BJ. What's your thoughts on this deal, man? Did he? I ain't gonna say that he deserved the money. It's not for us to say, well, he deserved this or he deserved that. But what's the thoughts on this deal? Was this good for New York, or should Daniel Jones roll over and smoke a cigarette?
Well, I think the main thing is that, just like I just talked about, you feel like if you're the Giants organization, do I feel like they overpaid a bit? I do, because I think he's making 15 more million than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, and we all know that he's not worth what Patrick Mahomes is, but that's not neither here or there. But if you're the Giants and you feel like that, that you can build off this run you just had, and if he had beat the Eagles, he would have had way more money. If he had beat the Eagles, it would have be question if they had beat the Eagles. He would have had way more money. But you have the feeling that they, and we've said this on the podcast before, that Brian Daboll is grooming him the same way Josh Allen is being used in Buffalo. And if that's the case, and if you can get that, and you can, fine tune your weapons, then yeah, you got a dual threat quarterback that shown he has a little bit higher ceiling than what we thought. So, I mean, that's the market right now, and if Patrick Mahomes gets redone, he's going to be probably 50, 55, it's just what the market calls for right now. And quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. If you don't, we talk about it all the time. If you don't have one of these top 10 quarterbacks, your chances of progressing past the wild card round, divisional rounds are slim to none. You got to have one of these baller quarterbacks to win. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts just proved that over this season.
So the deal, 4 years, 160. So let's take out 35 because that's incentives money. So now we're down to about 125. 82 of that is guaranteed in the first 2 years. So essentially, and then it says 94 virtually guaranteed at signing. So I see this as a 3-year, $94 million deal for them. So he's probably getting about 31, 32 million a season. I think Daniel Jones did a very good job of working the system and working the deadline. The reports were he wanted 45. The Giants wanted to pay him 35. Somehow, if you look at the contract at face value, he's right at the number 40. So two groups of people came in the room and said, let's meet in the middle, hack this up, and then chop it up however you want to chop it up. So I think Daniel Jones' team did a good job of getting him the money and getting him paid. I think the fact that he had leverage is really what made this deal happen. The fact was they didn't want Saquon to hit the open market and his number to skyrocket. So they had to they were being held hostage. This was Inside Man. This is Pelham 123 or whatever that joint is. Whatever, any hijack movie you want to call, Negotiator, whatever it is, That's what happened here. You know what I'm saying? He knew that he had them by the throat in the last couple minutes of this, and he kind of asked for what he wanted, and he was going to get most of what he wanted. He wasn't going to get all of it, but he was going to get most of it. And that's what happened here today. Is he took advantage of the situation, and this deal came in at the very last second. This was like a buzzer beater. So this deal came through, the franchise tag get thrown to Saquon, and then all of a sudden the deadline hits and business is done for the day. So Daniel Jones maximized his potential and his earning possibility by playing the game the right way.
Here's my thing. When I saw this roll across on ESPN, I never thought Daniel Jones would get a contract like this at any time in his career, because I was like, okay, he's a Duke quarterback. Name me, before Daniel Jones, name me a Duke quarterback that has played well in the league.
Well, he didn't play long enough. It's a backup. I can pull the name if you give me time.
You got time. Because I got to go back even further. The last Duke quarterback I know that played well in the league, and he played well enough to be a Hall of Fame, and that's Sonny Jurgensen. It's the last Duke quarterback I know of. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But when Daniel Jones...
give me a second. I'm efforting on his name.
Okay. When Daniel Jones was picked in 2019, he was picked ahead of Dwayne Haskins, who I felt was the better quarterback, had the better college career, even though he only played one full year. I said the numbers don't lie. The stats don't lie. You know, but Daniel Jones has, like the boss BJ said, maximized on his potential. And having Brian Daboll is not a bad situation either. You know, a coach that's willing to cultivate you, willing to work with you. And Daboll is exposing his strengths, but hiding his flaws. How many games this year was Daniel Jones the leading rusher for New York? More than half. And it's not because Saquon wasn't getting the ball, because when he was passing, he was hitting Saquon on the backfield. Saquon was tearing it up. It was a game. I think Saquon had 100 yards receiving and 100 yards rushing. Daniel Jones still had 112. You know, they had something that was working early in the season because they kept moving. They kept going. And they stumbled down the end, but they saw what they had. And I didn't think the number was going to be this high, but hey, he got it. Mazel tov. Congratulations, man. Hey, you worked the system. You did what you had to do. You got your bread. I'm happy. Now, is he going to fall off like most players do once they get that first big contract?
So I'm glad you asked that question because I was waiting for this. So first, the person that I was thinking about was Thad Lewis. He played a couple games in the NFL. He probably played 5 seasons if he played that long. But that doesn't mean anything about the greatness of Duke quarterbacks, because you mentioned Sonny Jurgensen. But that was a guy that stuck out of my head. I just couldn't think of who he was. To kind of get back to your point, I think with Daniel Jones, the other thing that just really helped him out was New York's just not in a position. Like, if you let him walk, you don't have anything. And another part about this is New York wasted money 2 years ago on Kenny Galladay. Got nothing out of it. You played this year with some guys that nobody knew. Isaiah Hodgkins. You had Sterling Shepard. You had guys that were just there, and he put up some decent numbers. He wasn't great. So if you give him some extra talent, you give him a better tight end, you know, who's to say that this can't get better? Because he didn't have a bad season last year. He may have ran a little bit more than you wanted to, but still, it's a situation where he didn't. I mean, they had the kid from San Fran, the return guy. He was like their third best receiver, Ricky James. So when you have those situations, I mean, he has no opportunity but to go up in my mind, because once you give him better talent, like we saw when Buffalo went and got Josh Allen They got him Steph Diggs. When you get the quarterback for the receiver that can bowl, everything changes. When Jalen Hurts got AJ Brown, that changed the whole dynamic of the offense. No offense to Devontae Smith, but AJ Brown changes the dynamic of the offense, and Steph Diggs changed the dynamic of offense. And what they need to do in New York is make sure they get somebody at receiver that can change the dynamics of the offense and give this kid something to look at. So when he goes to throw it, it's not Hodgkins or one of those guys dropping the ball like they did against the Commanders a couple times and in games that they should have blown them out. The defense is there.
KG, you keep saying something that Daniel Jones played his cards right. If you really think about it, New York paid Daniel Jones because they went. He didn't have a move in the chess game. They went and got Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll showed you what Daniel Jones is capable of and raised his ceiling from what we thought he had. We thought Daniel Jones was going to be it. You know, you can make a couple throws and, you know, run. And that's still the basis of it. But he definitely evolved a couple levels under Brian Daboll. So if you think about it, the New York Giants actually cost themselves in the Daniel Jones sweepstakes by getting Brian Daboll, because if they don't get Brian Daboll, if you get another stubborn coach, and I'm gonna say this until you rest it on my grave, if you get another stubborn coach that wants their way and their offense and doesn't tailor their not just their playbook, but the game plan. It's so much more to being an offensive or defensive play call. You have to have the playbook, you have to understand your personnel, and then you have to have play calling tempo. And Brian Daboll has all of that. He understands what he has. And like the Midnight Rider said, they're missing some weapons. If they get some weapons, like Philly did, right in the division, right next door, this team is going to evolve to another level. So the Giants actually, if they don't get Brian Daboll, maybe Daniel Jones makes what, 15, 20 million? Maybe.
Possible.
They might cost themselves somewhere in the ballpark of 15 to 30 million paying Daniel Jones because of the season he had, because they hired Brian Daboll. Now, that's not a bad problem to have because they're on the up. They just need to tweak a couple of pieces to get some more weapons, and now they got to fight with the Eagles, you know, to get that division. So it's not a bad problem to have.
Agreed. Now, see, you talk about problems. I don't know, man. We gotta call you the king of segues tonight, because here's a bad problem. Lamar Jackson is given a non-exclusive franchise tag, and Robert Griffin III said something. He compared Lamar Jackson to Daniel Jones. Lamar Jackson, 45-16 record. Daniel Jones, 23-32-1 record. Lamar, 26 years old. Daniel Jones, 25. Lamar has 101 passing yards compared to 60 passing TDs, 101 compared to 60 passing TDs for Daniel Jones. And he has 24 rushing TDs compared to 12 for Daniel Jones. Now, Lamar gets the non-exclusive, which is what? I think his number is 32.
32.1.
So Daniel Jones gets 82 million guaranteed. Lamar Jackson is head and shoulders above Daniel Jones. And I know injuries is a concern. That's a part of the game. And I know his availability, you know, sometimes what you say on Sunday, your best ability is availability. And I know sometimes he's not available for games for whatever reason. However, looking at Lamar, and we talked about Lamar before he was drafted, how he should be a top 10 pick, if not top 5. We talked about all of this on different shows. If you go back and listen to our early shows back then, we praised Lamar Jackson. We knew what he could do. The simple fact that Baltimore is not trying to pay him, and it's like they're not even trying to come to the table. Well, okay, that's your number. Your number's not our number. We're not going to talk. That's what it feels like. And if Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, these guys can get paid, why can't Lamar get paid? Thanks for taking my call. I'll hang up and listen.
Who's going first? You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
So you're comparing apples and oranges.
They
Comparing
still
two
free.
different situations. No, here's the reason why it's a different situation. Daniel Jones they didn't give him his 5th year, so he is on his 4th year becoming a free agent, and they expressed that they wanted to franchise Saquon over franchising Daniel Jones. So they had more impetus to make a deal, and the fact that he was coming to the table and giving them at least leeway. There's a whole big difference between getting 160 and wanting 250 guaranteed. That's a big difference. That's 2 whole different worlds. So you can't compare those situations when we're talking about 160, 150, and the guy willing not to have his deal fully guaranteed. The problem that Lamar is having is he wants the Deshaun Watson deal. He wants the team to be like, all right, we're giving you this. And the problem is he's played his cards wrong the whole time. He's played his cards. Yes, it's him and his mama trying to make this deal. And DeMaurice Smith is in the background. But the problem is DeMaurice Smith has pushed the wrong narrative on this deal, trying to get everything fully guaranteed. And what's going to end up happening is a team's going to come in. They're going to make a deal. And they're going to put a couple, they always say in these contracts, where you can match them. There's going to be some poison pills in there, and that's where they're going to have. That's where Lamar is going to have to hope he can get his money. Is some of these deals, some of the terms in these deals where Baltimore's like, no, we're not going to do this. That's the only way Lamar maximizes his money now, because Baltimore also took his legs from under him by giving him the non-exclusive. Because now that money starts at 32. If they give him an exclusive, he'd have started at 40-something. So now they say, all right, well, prove to us that you can get the deal that you keep asking for and you keep telling me you want. So what happened was, pardon the language, but Baltimore got tired of Lamar talking this shit. So they're like, all right, they're in a dick measuring contest. That's what this is. This is a game of chicken. And we're going to see who folds first. Because it's not going to be the Ravens, and the Ravens are going to always do what they do, and it's come out of this with something. Like, they're not the Commanders. They're not going to come out of this with like a 3rd-round pick and get short sold on this. They're going to come. I mean, their worst case scenario is 2 firsts. Worst case scenario. So again, they have control and they have leverage. The problem is Lamar gave away his leverage by not getting this deal done last year when he was supposed to.
This is a messy situation, and we've been talking about it all season. And this relationship is damaged. This is beyond repair. And I definitely agree what the Midnight Rider said is basically, hey, this deal you keep asking us for, go get it. Show us you can go get it. You get it, well, we'll match it, or we'll just get the 2 firsts. There's going to be I say this all the time, and this is going back to when everybody's saying, oh, man, John Wall makes too much money. Nobody's going to trade for him. There's always a willing participant. Always a willing participant. What you got, Midnight Rider?
No. That's the word. All you need is one.
That you just need one willing participant. There will always be one willing participant. Will he go to a better situation than the Ravens? Who knows? With the Jets, the Jets talking to Aaron Rodgers, that deal falls through. The Jets are on the cusp of being dominant. They need a quarterback. You rent Aaron Rodgers for 2 seasons. You think you maybe make something happen. They have the pieces in place. They're one of the few teams that have everything in place but a quarterback. Now, it'll set the Ravens back a little bit. But, we talked about my main issue with Lamar is health, durability. That's the main issue. But Lamar, NFL MVP, the Ravens don't move without him. So you would think that would count for something. I think he hurt himself a little bit. I'll never question if somebody's hurt or not. But I really think if they had got a deal done, Lamar plays at the end of the season. I really do. The playoffs, I don't think Tyler Huntley gets a sniff of. I think that was just in spite of the Ravens. on Lamar's side. And I think that's where we are, and even with the non-exclusive franchise. This is like, how many times you gonna spit in this man's face? It is what it is at this point. Like I said, somebody is going to come to the plate. Somebody's going to come to the plate and give Lamar what he wants. Might not be, maybe it's a 3-year deal. Maybe it's not the long-term deal he wants, but it's going to be fully guaranteed. We'll see. Somebody's going to come to the plate. I know it is. We just don't know who it is yet.
Here's the thing. This is kind of sort of not surprising from Baltimore, because Baltimore does not keep quarterbacks. Let's say that. They gave Flacco the money, and I think that was the first time in Baltimore's history they gave a quarterback big money.
That's the only person that deserved it.
Yeah, but you gave him that type of money, and look how much it destroyed the team, because you couldn't repeat as champions because you had to give up so much. Now, remember, every year after Baltimore wins the Super Bowl, they go through this purge. When they won the Super Bowl in 2000, you had to get rid of most of your defense. You had to get rid of Jamie Sharper, most of your ends. I can't think of Michael McCurry, that's his name. You had to get rid of these guys that were vital to you winning this championship. You win in 2012. You can't re-sign Anquan Bolden because of that contract. Not bringing Anquan back, big mistake, because that hindered your offense. You weren't able to sign guys that you really needed because of that contract. And I think they don't want to put themselves in a trick bag yet again with being a long-term quarterback with a contract, being a long-term contract with a quarterback to the point where you can't get weapons. But Lamar has no weapons. Get him some weapons, and then let's talk about this.
But it's not just the quarterback contract. I mean, I say Buffalo all the time because that's the team I follow. They're cap strapped. They went all in. They're cap strapped. They got to do all these re-signings and restructuring. And Baltimore could do the same thing if they really wanted to pay Lamar. They could do some things, move some things around. If I'm the GM, I don't give him a long-term, fully guaranteed deal. I would do maybe a 2 or 3 year deal with something, fully guaranteed. But hey, I need you to play a certain percentage of these games, man. Like this is our issue, But I don't know, man. It's just messy. I hate to see it, and I'm not gonna say what I want to say because I don't think it's that. But I think it's just his durability.
And I think I know what you want to say. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say I think I know.
So I hear a lot of people push this narrative. Once you pay the quarterback, you can't do this, you can't do that. Hogwash. The Saints have been a team notoriously over the cap. They at one point they were $50 million over the cap, and they somehow redid deals and restructured everything and made things work. Here's the problem. Baltimore has not drafted a decent wide receiver in their existence. Years ago, their second best receiver 2 years ago was Willie Snead. So your quarterback doesn't get any options on outside. And then they had the nerve to have Rashad Bateman go on Twitter to act like he was offended by something Eric DaCosta said. And dude, you only played 6 games. Hollywood Brown, yeah, he said something, but Hollywood Brown left the money on the table because he dropped so many deep balls. So what are we talking about here? Exactly. Like when it comes to Lamar, the problem is his supporting cast has let him down. The situation in Baltimore itself is Baltimore's a franchise that they plan for the future. So when they let somebody go, there's some guy, you don't know him, but he's sitting in the woods. It's them in Pittsburgh that always do this. Because nobody knows about the DN that Pittsburgh had last year, Highsmith, that they drafted 2 years ago. And he had like 10 or 11 sacks last year. That's what good teams do. You draft players. You develop players. You have players in the background, and they come in and they make a difference. And that's the only thing. You talk about Anquan Bolden, okay, maybe. But you still got to be more dynamic on the outside when you're Baltimore. Baltimore, if it's not Isaiah Likely or it's not Mark Andrews, Baltimore last year wasn't getting anything done. The other problem they had that their two running backs were both hurt, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. So Greg Roman laid on the sword for this because it really wasn't his fault. You put a decent running back behind a decent line in Baltimore, they win most of those close ball games. That's their problem. Is they just aren't dynamic enough outside of Lamar. And now what they're doing is taking a chance on their system. And they're going to make a decision one way or the other. And there's going to be some hurt feelings behind this because this is a situation you shouldn't have gotten into. But we here now and it's too late. So you can't cry over spilled milk. And they got to figure it out.
Okay. Geez. We're going to switch gears and we're going to move over to the NBA. I got to throw this one to the boss BJ first because he hasn't got a chance to say anything about it. But Ja Morant got the Gilbert Arenas suspension indefinite, and it might be 50 games because more and more.
Shams put 50 out there.
Huh?
I thought I saw a report from Shams. Now this isn't Woj, so I'm gonna say supposedly or allegedly it's 50 games that they're giving him.
Yeah, but I mean,
again, it's Shams. It's Shams, not Woj. So that's the only reason I ain't taking this as gospel.
Hey, Shams been doing pretty good lately, man. He been driving some good news.
I'm just saying, it's Shams.
But here's the thing: a lot is coming out. The whole IG Live thing on Friday night with the gun. He was in Colorado in a strip club, so they said, "Well, he brung the gun on the team plane, which is a violation of NBA rules." Go ahead.
Not a question. Did he say if the wings were the wings any good?
I don't think they was Magic City good. I doubt it.
Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You know, Lou Williams got kicked out of the bubble because he drove all the way to Atlanta for Magic City wings, some lemon pepper wings. And if it was anything else, if it was some honey barbecue with some blue cheese, chunky blue cheese dressing, I could see it. But lemon pepper wings, lemon pepper is trash. It's been overdone. Please stop it. It is garbage. Anyhow, Boss BJ, brother, we've talked off air about this situation. I want to sit back and I want to listen. I want you to put it on wax. Your feeling of the whole Ja Morant situation as it stands right now with everything we know.
Well, you know, it's as a black man, I want him to get all 50 games because I'm tired of this dumbass glorifying the hood stereotype that for some reason people feel like they need to be accepted by the hood. I'm just so tired of it. This man first of all, he doesn't even know a sniff of that lifestyle because we know his background. Doesn't even know a sniff of that lifestyle. You carrying a gun with you for protection. I completely understand that. But this show and tell, you got to show everything on social media. You want to be perceived a certain way. And it's just garbage, man. I'm so tired of this. And it's several players that spoke on it. And me and KG talked about one in particular. And I'm going to say this, and I hope he makes it into the reel and puts it all over the internet. That clown-ass Steven Jackson, you know, I didn't even listen to what he had to say encouraging about Ja Morant. Big guy KG said he listened to it. Good encouraging words. I can't listen to anything he said. This is the same grown-ass man a couple of months ago checking into O-Block. So you're perpetuating the stereotype just in a different way. I have nothing I want to hear from Steven Jackson at all. He's completely discredited. Okay? And I told KG that I don't want to hear what he said. I don't care what he said. But Ja Morant he's gonna have some, you know, he gonna have a lot of time to sit and think. You know, I know he's, you know, one of the faces of the league, bright star, game out this world, but it has to be consequences for these actions. And you know, I know I'm getting old because I'm just so tired of seeing this stupid shit with these players that have everything. I don't even watch this game right now because it's like every other game you tune into, your star players sitting out. Like I can't I don't even I barely watch the NBA. I think I may have watched 2 games this season, and I told y'all because of the situation in Washington, I was boycotting. I was serious about that. That's a whole different situation. But I want him to get all 50 games. You give him the Gilbert Arenas treatment, and you sit his ass down. You let him, his dad, and you let all of them think about it. Like, man, like, you look, you put out the apology. I don't even care for those anymore because that's what you have to do. That's what your publicist is telling you to do. That's what the Grizzlies is telling you have to do. So I don't care for the apology because you know why? And this is something we talked about probably on a podcast last year, accountability. Right now, big guy KG Midnight Rider, if we go flash a gun somewhere, we don't have the resources of the Memphis Grizzlies and a good lawyer to get us out of the situation. We going to jail. So if I know better as a working man, paying my money to see the NBA, this, that, and the other, then I damn sure don't want to see it from athletes that don't make millions and millions of dollars. It's just so stupid that you're willing to throw your whole career away. He'll be back playing even if he gets to 50 games, but it's just mind-blowing what people would do, people of color. I'm talking about people of color right now, to go through to get accepted by a place that chews out and spits out people looks like me daily. That has no care in the world for people look like me, and never has. But to be wanting to be associated, all this checking in, dumb bullshit, and to want to perpetuate that lifestyle, like, yeah, I live this. Like, why? Why? That's not nothing to be proud of. Yeah, if somebody's doing a 30 for 30 on you in the story, you always respect where you came from and your beginnings and how you came up. But it's people out here like glorifying that shit. And as a 42-year-old man, I still to this day I don't understand it, and I never will. And I'm sitting here, standing here. I want him to get all 50 games.
Well, I think he's going to get all 50. And you mentioned players or former players speaking out. Jalen Rose, and it's the difference. This is a few differences that I noticed. When Steven Jackson spoke out, everybody was applauding. Oh, yeah, great. OG speaking up for him. But then when Jalen Rose spoke out, oh, what can Jalen Rose tell him? How to get a haircut and where to pay $100 for? But I had to catch myself. I had to remember who we're talking. Who's talking. Y'all don't realize, this younger generation doesn't know that Jalen Rose is in the streets. He was actually in a drug bust that they actually covered up, and they lost the paperwork. And I'm glad they did. As a fan of the Fab Five, I was absolutely happy about it. However, him giving advice about circles and people who to be around, that's where you need to listen at. Then on the other hand, Nike dropped Kyrie Irving like a hot potato. They released a statement saying we're going to stand beside Ja Morant to hopefully he gets the help that he needs. Yeah. So punching a 17-year-old in the face and putting a gun in his face, you'll stand beside it. But sharing a movie link that's on Amazon Prime now, it's still $10.99 on Amazon Prime. Sharing a movie link and saying form your own opinion gets you cut. That's where you draw the line at. Okay, Nike. All right. What else? It's so much back and forth and hypocrisy. I agree with the boss BJ about glorifying hood culture. You don't have to glorify it. Some of us have lived it and don't want to live it anymore because we lived it for so long. You don't sit there, oh, I'm from this hood, I'm from that hood. You 45 years old, you still claiming hoods? Really? Come on, man. We got to be better than that. We have to be. Just my opinion. I don't thump my chest and say, well, I'm from here, I'm from there. Nah, hey, man, I was born in Maryland, raised in D.C. That's it. I don't sit there and thump my chest about what hood I'm from. I don't have to pull out a gun when somebody makes me angry. I just look at you like you're crazy and laugh and walk away. But Midnight Rider, what you got on this before we go on, man?
I'm just glad they suspended it. Like, make it make sense. I hear you on the Nike thing, but I think there's other parameters. There's a little thing called power involved in the Nike case. If one group has power, another group doesn't have power. So that makes everything make sense in that situation as to why you get cut for one and you don't. You know, it's a simple thing is whose lives do you value more? You still got to struggle to make sure Black Lives Matter. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not going to turn that into any kind of thing. But when the struggle for the words Black Lives Matter to matter, and then for simple words about a movie matter more, it already shows you where the world values life. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I don't even have to go no more because we talked a lot about Ja the other day, and like Ja is just he got to figure it out. You know, every athlete comes to, sometimes athletes have to get to this crossroads to figure out what you're going to be.
And it's absolutely crazy to me because when you said you're going to leave it right there, you ain't going to go. I know what that is. And I love that you did that because I was getting cranked up. We're going to leave it at that. So our final topic for the night. Kendrick Perkins put his foot in his mouth today and said some things. And JJ Redick had to check him. Now, JJ Redick is the guy, you know, and JJ Redick, let me say this, he would thrive in this type of NBA right now with the long ball because, you know, this dude used to pull up from the logo down in the Maui Invitational, and he was the first person I ever seen do that. Pull up from the logo and shoot. He was shooting beyond NBA range in college, but he would thrive in this. But, you know, he's also the analyst that said that, oh, the guys back in the days were firefighters and plumbers and things like that. However, he kind of sort of redeemed himself just a smidgen, not much. He dug into Kendrick Perkins, who said that he feels there's racial bias in the MVP race in the NBA. And Barkley even got him. I'm reading an article from, what is this from? Unfortunately, Fox News. Perkins suggested there was racial bias since 3 players since 1990 have won an MVP despite being outside of the top 10 in points per game. Jokic in his first MVP campaign of 2021, Dirk Nowitzki in 2006 and 2007, Steve Nash in 04-05 and 05-06 are all three are white. Here's my thing. Out of that list, Nash he beat out Kobe and Shaq for those two. And I think they just kind of handed it to him, just say, hey, here, Hank, here, Canada, you know, we're going to give you this. But do you gentlemen think there's racial bias in the MVP race that they're just trying to say, well, we're going to give it to a white player? You know, is that it? Boss?
I don't know if I think we may have lost him for a second. So I'll go ahead. See, you poke in the hornet's nest because I'm not going to say it's racial bias, but what I will say is I think there's a level of favoritism in all of this. I think Nash's 2 MVPs are the worst displays of reporter bias because the reason they really was doing that is because they didn't want to give Kobe the thing because he was in Colorado having a case. The Dirk one, he really did. I mean, okay, whatever. See, I think it's funny how the analysts get tired of giving certain athletes awards, and like after the second one, they try to find reasons. They try to find stories or narratives that they're going to push throughout the course of the season to make sure that this player doesn't get the MVP. Because I don't care what you say. I mean, yeah, Jokic is a nice story, but Giannis is carrying Chris Middleton every night and Drew Holiday. While they're nice pieces, but that ain't nothing special to write home about. Joel Embiid is doing his thing. So there are guys that have great situations and great stories. And if Jokic was I'm not even gonna say that. I just think if Jokic didn't have the media at his side, that this wouldn't be him going for a three-peat, because we will be putting history into play. We will be comparing his narrative to every other guy that has either never had a three-peat and why he doesn't deserve a three-peat. And that's the story for me. So I think Perky's on the right path. He just chose the wrong ism. The MVP race is all about favoritism, not racism.
So a lot of isms going on. It really is. And back to what I was talking about with the whole Nike thing. Yeah, that's an ism. Whatever ism you want to pick on that. That's an ism. And it is favoritism because I hate to say it like this, but I bet you if that I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna leave it alone. But yeah, I mean, look, we said for a long time that the people that, the NFL owners, NBA owners, we're basically entertainment for them. Modern day slavery. It is what it is. We love these games to death. We follow them. But when our issues come up, our issues always get pushed to the side. We're not smart enough. I want to say I sent it to both of you guys that the NFL whole the CCE thing. Yeah, you read that. It's just it's never going to change. It's gotten better, it's gotten better here and there, but it's just one of them things that a segment of the show isn't enough to talk about it, because it's way deeper than what we can ever. It's an endless rabbit hole. You're going to get to the end of the rabbit hole, you can go through a wormhole, and then you're going to be lost forever. So, and then you're going to learn new things and come back up and hate other things. It's
like a metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. It's just endless. So, yeah, it is what it is. Unfortunately, it is what it is at this point, and I don't think we have the player culture to put the brakes on it. They just don't.
I think that when it's time, I don't understand why Perk decided to throw out a racism card. When the thing is, most valuable player. That's the most valuable person of a team that a team cannot win without. The year that Peyton Manning missed the whole entire season, and what was that, 2011? He missed the whole entire season because of his neck. I say he should have been voted MVP because he proved he was the most valuable player. He missed the whole season. Then you think about the MVP race of, I want to say that was 63, where Wilt was averaging 50 and 25 in 63. Elgin Baylor was averaging 36 and 16. The Big O was averaging a triple-double that season. But Bill Russell averaged 18 and 20 and won MVP. But everybody said, oh, that was the worst MVP race. No, that was the tightest MVP race. But nobody was saying, it's bias or it's favoritism here and there. But this.
But it would have. All right. So, first of all, I'm glad you broke down the 1963 MVP race. I'm going to get my reel to reel and break down some film and see what I can find out about this. Mike, this is what I keep telling you about. Like 63, like you said it so casually. Like we were supposed to be like, oh yeah, damn, 63. How can I forget 63?
Yeah,
How could you forget it?
He does it all the time. Like, he's supposed to pull up that. You remember that Lakers sucked this game in November? Oh my goodness, that was a bomb burner.
1963 MVP race. All right.
How could you forget that? That's one of the most talked about NBA topics and has been for the last couple of years. Because everybody thought, well, Wilt should have won that because he averaged 50 and 25.
Okay, I'm gonna get us past this because we're gonna be stuck here forever if I keep making jokes about this. But it goes back. But even if you look at it there, that goes back to the narrative of the favoritism part because Boston was kind of the team that was on the map at that point, and Bill Russell and Boston was the face of that era. So it would be easy and behoove them to put the MVP in his hands in that scenario. Not saying because of course I missed that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the tape. I didn't have ESPN Plus back then, so I didn't see the games. So I'm not up on my 1963 MVP race. But
I'm loading up the videos now.
You can't load up that video. You gotta use the Dewey Decimal System in a library and get you a reel-to-reel.
You didn't ask how I was loading it up. I got it saved on my floppy drive.
Yeah, it's I don't even know what tube that is that you can find that joint on. But
I'm sorry. That was 62. It wasn't 63. It was 62.
You know what? That's why I was thrown off because you said 62 and not 63. But seriously, like I just think these reporters, and this happens all the time, and I think we've talked about this in other iterations of when the reporters vote, that sometimes their personal preferences get in the way of actual justice or the actual right thing being done. Like we always talk about the Hall of Fame voting and how certain guys that get in the Hall of Fame get in. And I think that's one of the biggest popularity contests outside of the Pro Bowl. But it's just guys that get in because, you know, this guy likes him, this guy is this, and blah, blah, blah. And I just really think we're in a point where they really don't want to put this mantle on anybody else yet. So we're going to try to push the narrative of the big European guy. Because next year the person's going to be is Luka. It's going to be Luka's MVP for the next 2 years coming up because that's the guy they want to push. It's plain and simple.
Man, but my thing is, why can't it just be an MVP race? And I hate when people say this, but this is one of them times it's true. Why you gotta bring race into it? You call Jokic a stat pattern. Why do you have to bring race into it?
Think about it, KG. If he doesn't bring race into it, what are you talking about today? You're talking about John Morant's suspension. You're talking about the NFL. You're not talking about Kendrick Perkins and what he said. Sometimes you got to make a splash.
And one thing I've always said about Kendrick Perkins, because if you think he can be replaced easily, he doesn't do anything special. But one thing he does, he's a hot box. And he would create topics for you to talk about for the rest of the week. And he is very good at doing it. Otherwise, Kendrick Perkins is worthless.
He's a, you know what it is? He's a more improved Ryan Hollins. Because Ryan Hollins tried to play that card, and Hollins was just too erratic. And he was like, yo, dog, come on. Like, you just couldn't take anything he said seriously. So that's how he fell out of favor. And Kendrick was the guy that stepped into his place.
Let me show you guys this graphic real quick.
Oh, here we go. It's the black and white. Oh, you got it in color? Oh, snap.
Of course I got it in color. Now that's your 1962 MVP race. Everybody looks at this and says, well, Wilt should have won that. But you act like Baylor didn't average a double-double at 30. He had 38 and 18. You know, come on. Okay, just come on. Bob Pettit, 31 and 18.
Who won the championship?
Bob Pettit, okay.
You say what?
Who won the championship that year?
I believe the Celtics did.
There you go.
That was the Celtics run.
There you go.
And you know, it should be the only regular season MVP award. But I mean, like it it's so deeply rooted. It's funny. And I've said this for a while since we started this podcast in 2017 that the reporters, baseball, anywhere they have a vote at, football, they should not be allowed to vote on Hall of Fame, MVP, none of it. Because if you're not in favor with them, Brian Mitchell, or if you kiss their ass, Drew Pearson, you get in the Hall of Fame. And that's just the reality of it. Whether you're a Hall of Good player, whether you're that borderline player, and you transition over to, you know, media, and now you're a buddy with everybody, and all of a sudden you get in a couple years, that shouldn't determine whether you get in the Hall of Fame, whether you get the MVP, you know. And then it's like it's a double-edged sword because I said something to KG. I think social media has ruined a lot of players. A lot of players that played, that's retired now. You see that they didn't have the work ethic. You know, who was that talking about? They like Oreos so much they couldn't play for the Heat. I forgot who that was. Who was that? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, but Pat crazy with his.
No, but
Pat got your weight down to every number. Yeah,
no, I understand that, but what I'm saying is players are exposing themselves not to have that drive. And you see how many players, Steven Jackson, that clown.
You don't like double stuffed Oreos?
Look,
the lemon kind?
Look, I love them, but I ain't playing in the NBA.
See, that's why you couldn't get
I ain't playing in the NBA. But social media is exposing a lot of guys that don't have that drive, that think they have that drive, but they don't have that drive. And
I think the game itself is doing that. I think when like you said you don't watch the NBA, but when I watch this game, thanks to FanDuel for same game parlays, especially the same game parlay special they run on Tuesday nights with TNT, where you can get your money back. It's a no risk bet. Shameless plug. So I don't know. With gambling, I still watch more NBA than I want to. But last night, there was a point I turned to the 76ers and the Pacers game. And it was like 101-98 or 101-88, something like that. And I'm fully expecting this to be the fourth quarter. It was the third. That game ended 147-143. I didn't know what to do, yo. I knew all my props did, but still, just like we at 101, and it's only the third quarter. And then I listened to Kevin Sheehan a couple of weeks ago. He's like, yo, the way this game is being played, we're going to have a point where in the first half, I think somebody scored 80 a couple of weeks ago. He said, we're going to have a point where there's going to be 100 points scored in the first half of a regular season ball game. And I don't doubt that. I definitely don't doubt that at all. The way this game is being played now, they can be more skilled, and they can say when you play defense, you foul. That's why 80s babies say fouling. But there's a point where you got to have some effort when you play defense. So I don't know. I can't stick with all that what they talk about. But
I'm gonna tell you something. And this is something that the Iceman said, George Gervin. He said back in the day, we wasn't playing basketball, we was hooping.
Right. We
was hooping. What they doing now, they playing basketball. We don't recognize that. We was hooping. And I agree with that wholeheartedly because it wasn't, I could hand check you and you didn't get upset about me hand checking. You did what you had to do to get around me to school.
I can W in rec ball and you not get mad. So no doubles.
Yeah. And the thing is, if I W in rec ball, you already know it's coming. So you already looking for the open man.
But that's what help you get better because that's what you see. See, like certain people don't get that when you practice it, it becomes easier for the game. Like we used to run a drill where we used to run our press 5-on-7. So the defense had 7 people on the court. And our kids used to be like, why are we doing this, coach? I was like, if you can beat 7 people, when it comes to the game and there's 5 of them, what the hell you think you're going to do in that situation?
Hey.
Sometimes, oh, I'm sorry. I ain't going to go start preaching because I was about to go into a whole thing. But no, that's, yeah.
Well, I mean, I got no beef with it because it's truth is truth. And we're in the age now where truth has become the new hate speech. Because when you speak the truth, that's when somebody say you hating, or it's hate speech. I done got banned a couple times, couple suspensions from Facebook and Instagram because I spoke the truth, and it's hate speech. So
yeah.
But last but not least, wrapping it up tonight, coming home locally. The Maryland Terrapins men's team is the number 6 seed in the Big Ten tournament, which starts on Wednesday night, tomorrow night. And they are awaiting the winner of Minnesota, Nebraska. And then after that, whoever wins that game between Maryland and the winner of that game goes on to face Indiana. Maryland kind of played themselves out of, not going to say out of contention, but they played themselves out of a better seed by going 11-9 in the conference. But Maryland is doing the damn thing at home. If I'm not mistaken, 20 home wins. So, and the Maryland women are playing great at home too. I think they got 20 home wins. So, locally, we'll see what Maryland can do. Hopefully they can get a nice seed, start out west and work their way back like they normally do. I mean, that seems to be the key for Maryland, at least make the Sweet 16. So, I'm not gonna say that's my dark horse, but I think they're gonna go pretty far. I don't know if the boss BJ want to drive to Chicago this week. We roll up to Chicago. We can get tickets for the Big Ten tournament. So what y'all thinking? March 8th through the 12th.
It's the Big Ten.
That's the map.
Now go ahead, BJ.
No, I was just gonna say about Maryland. It's it's baby steps, and we'll see how they do in the Big Ten tournament. Because it's not going to be College Park. So, away from College Park, this team is horrible. So they're going to have to, like I said, it's baby steps. You got to learn how to win. You defend your home court. That's really important. That's half the battle. But they got to get that edge, and they got to figure out how to get a W on the road. Who do they just lose to in NC? Was it Penn State?
Yes.
Yeah, they dropped that to Penn State, and that was the game they probably could have got a better seed. But it is what it is. I'm happy how they played this year. They fight, they scratch, they claw, but it's time to turn the switch on now, gentlemen. It's March.
Well, I'm looking at the tickets available. We're gonna be sitting in the nosebleeds, gentlemen. But if we do this right, we can sit with the bar. And section 306, row 9, seat 3 through 4, $350 just for the Big Ten tournament. So I don't know if we got
I think I'm good on that because I got something to do. I gotta save my fish from drowning. So.
Is that an all-day ticket?
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be, every the whole week.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm hoping that's the whole week. Like that's
that's not the whole week, KG.
It might
be make money that way.
Might be the
whole.
You
giving you a day pass on that or a night pass.
Yeah, because it's broken up into that where you can do session 1, session. It's 7 sessions.
Yeah,
but the whole week. If I gotta pay $350 for the whole week and I can watch basketball the whole week, but it's just nothing. When I say it's nothing available,
so you back on the 1963 prices.
5 cents and a piece of bubble gum, son.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Meatloaf for $1.50.
Yesterday's prices ain't today's price, so I get you. But damn it, ain't nothing. It's nothing on the floor.
I gotta give Will a thumbs up. He did a better job with this team and got better results than I thought he was gonna get. You also gotta give the women's team props because when I saw them against South Carolina early in the season, I thought Brenda Freeze was gonna be fighting to keep this team relevant, and they came out and they showed some worth. The concern is going to be Connecticut on the women's side because it looks like they're starting to get a little healthier. But you still got South Carolina out there. And then on the men's, we talked about tisms and isms and the whole nine. I got you, man.
Come on, that's $350 a ticket, y'all. Let's go.
Kelvin Sampson. No. We gotta if we're gonna give flowers where flowers due, you gotta give Kelvin Sampson his flowers because they tried to shun him after the incident in Oklahoma, and then he came back and he's taking Houston. He's made the Houston Cougars the most relevant Houston's ever been since the Phi Slamma Jamma crew. So all the talk, all the things that he did, the phone calls or whatever, his problems at Indiana, at some point somebody gotta stop and say Kelvin Sampson is a damn good basketball coach. And then the other person they got to recognize is the cat at UCLA, Cronin. I mean, both of these guys got these teams in the top 4, top 5, and they've been on a little hiatus, especially UCLA. So they got to make it known, and I hope both of those programs, because I feel like on the surface, I feel like this is going to be a chalk tournament. I think we're going to see more of the better teams, the older teams. And I'm going to give away one of my trade secrets, but I think this year I'm going to go with a lot of the older teams to get further in the tournament as opposed to some of the young teams. And I think if Carolina makes it, they're going to be in trouble because they don't understand the team concept of basketball. Their heads got too big last year by making the finals, and they feel like they can turn it on and do whatever it is when they want to. And I think the problem they're going to have is they're going to be turning on and off in the NIT.
Well, that is all our time for tonight. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll be able to talk a little bit more college basketball on Thursday because that's when all your tournaments ramp up. And
they started tonight.
I thought it was till Wednesday.
Nah, the ACC I think started tonight.
Oh no! West Coast. I know West Coast. The WCC was over the weekend.
Yeah, and then
they had a game that was on at like 3 a.m.
And I know you're a hater of baseball, but the World Baseball Classic just started, so we gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta give that some love, even though it's too early for baseball. But yeah,
no, it's never too early for baseball. And no, I'm not a hater of baseball. I mean, how can you be a hater when you got 28 World Championships? I mean, how can I be a hater? Come on now. Come on, stop it. So, for the boss, BJ, the Midnight Rider, I'm the big guy, KG. Yeah. We don't do no overtime, y'all. We are out of here.